Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Austin from awfulmedia.com, and this is part 2, I had to think for a second, of the WordPress Widget Options mini-series. It's going to be a pretty short series, but we're going to be covering some interesting things. Now, I myself did not know how to really go about doing this until pretty recently, a few weeks ago, when I had the urge to create this series. I had to do a lot of studying up on it, and I'm still learning things today. I mean, with WordPress, I learn things every day about it. It's not that I don't know WordPress. It's just there's a ton of stuff to learn, and it's always good to learn things. You can never know everything about something. So this was something I really needed to learn, and this was a good reason to learn it. I have yet to have a reason to have a widget that has options in the back end, but I imagine having the ability to create them is a great thing. I would now be able to, when I release themes in the future, whenever I actually get time to work on things like that again, I'll have the ability to create plugins that work with that theme that the user can go in and modify without ever having to touch a piece of code. And that's a good thing. So what we're going to do is just jump right into this and just get started doing it and hope everything goes well. The first thing I want to do is show you what we have. I have a static form on the back end and some static HTML on the front end. And we have the construct function doing its thing that we've already talked about. And the update function has absolutely nothing in it as of right now. It will in the future. I'm going to do a quick overview of what these different functions do, and then we'll get started. I've already talked about this in the other series for the WordPress widget, the basic one, but I want to give you a quick overview just so you're up to date. The construct function is just something that's fired off right when the widget is loaded, right when it's created. The widget is the front end on the website, what's displayed on the front side of the widget. So here we have a title and some text and a paragraph tag. The form is what's displayed on the admin side, on the back end, in the widget menu. Let me show you real quick. Optionated widget, barbecue sauce. That's the back end. As you can see, barbecue sauce. So this is where all of our editable inputs will go. And the update is what takes the new information and makes it the now information. So we'll be using that to update our values and things, and then using that stuff to do some cool things with. And that's all there is to that. So let's get started on the new stuff. What we want to do first is make sure that our input field is set up correctly and that WordPress knows what it is and knows how to work with it. So what we want to do first is set up an ID, a correct ID, and a name. Now the way we're going to do this is, since we're echoing out HTML inside of PHP, what we have to do is end the echo there and start the echo up again there. And now inside of this, what we'll do is we will concatenate some extra stuff. And this extra stuff will be PHP. So now inside of this, we can write all kinds of PHP again, and it'll be processed in between the echo, in a sense, right? Or in between the HTML. See, the input starts there and stops here. Everything inside of these single quotes will be echoed out, process that, echo out that. Now inside of this PHP tag, or inside of the PHP area here, we're going to be grabbing information with our this variable. Now I think I've covered this a bit, but if not, I want to do just a quick overview again. All this is doing is grabbing something, and we're going to extract some information from an object that it's currently pointing to. Remember, widgets in WordPress now use object-oriented programming, so everything's really streamlined. So if I want to grab a function from the current object that we're pointing to, and remember, we're extending the WordPress widget class, then I'll just say this, and then I'll type out the function I want to use, pass it an argument, and there we go. I want to get the field ID, and that's going to be a function. Don't need to end that though. And what this is going to do is, actually I'll show you the output, but what it's pretty much doing is you're giving it the field name you want it to be, and then it's going to grab the WordPress, the widget title, grab the ID, and then make its own little string ID thing. So if I say this is going to be the title of our widget, then I'm giving that field the ID that the title should have. Now if I hit Control S and I was to go here, refresh this and inspect that. The ID is widget, is prefixed with a widget, the name of the widget, the ID of the widget in the whole widget itself. This value there, some kind of specific ID. I'll have to see if that changes if I add like another form or another field. And then the title, which is the field name that we just gave it, or the field ID that we just gave it inside of that function. So now what we should do is actually take this ID and give it to the for. So it's going to get the field ID for title for for, okay? And then I want to pass it to the name as well. But for this, there's a specific one. It's name. So now to get the name, it's the same thing, it's just written out a bit differently. So now that's set up pretty much how it should be. The value is static though. So it's what we're going to do is initialize some variables. Let's get some variables started, then we can fill them in later on. The first one I want is going to be title. So now we're going to be setting a dynamic title. The title should be modified from the back end. And it's going to be a blank value for now. We know we're going to want posts per page. So we're going to set a variable for posts per page. And we'll use this to modify our query for posts later on. It's going to be equal to a value. So it's just going to be a number, 3 for now, whatever, the default number. And let's set up, that's it for now. I can't think of anything else, but we'll get to that when we need to get to that. Now inside of this value, I want to set up another PHP thing. So I have to concatenate some more information inside of this. So now inside of this, what we have to do is I want to grab the value that the title variable is set to, and that'll be the value of that field. Now what we'll do later on is, actually here in a second, is set that title variable to equal the new instance of the field. Well, it'll be the current instance, but we'll update the current instance to equal the new instance here in just a second. So to do that now, let's make sure that's working though. If I was to set this to banana, and I was to go here and refresh, everything's good. So banana works. So we don't want that to say banana though. Now what we should do is under this, we're going to do an if statement. If you've never worked with a programming language, which even if you haven't, you'll get this in no time. What we're doing is saying if something, do something. That's like the very basic of any programming language, is checking for something and doing something based on the information you get back. So I'm going to say if the user has set something, then we want to take the information they set and make our title equal that information. Now how do you do that? So we're going to say if da-da-da, do da-da-da. So if this is true, do this. If not, don't do anything special. So we're going to say if is set. We're going to check to see if a field has been set. If there is a value inside of this field. To do that, we'll use the instance variable in these little in brackets, and inside of this we'll say what instance value we want to check for. And what we want to check for is title. We're going to make that match the title of the ID of that field. Okay, so while editing this video, I realized I did not explain what this is actually doing. I know this is not a PHP tutorial, but it might be best if I explain some of the stuff we're doing that's kind of important. That's kind of the point of a tutorial. So you might see this a lot. You'll see this a lot if you're doing back-end fields and things, because this is what we're working with. So I just want to show you a little example of exactly what this is in PHP and how it works. Now let's say let's start a variable. I'm just going to give the variable print and say equal to an array. Okay, so the variable is equal to just a blank array. There's no value set for anything. It's just setting it to that. And now if I was to say print equals, then we'll set, say, this to cow. Okay. Now inside of this, I would set what I want that value to be. So say I want milk. Okay, milk, and then it would be setting milk to cow. So in array, it would be like milk and cow. So I could set multiple of these, and I could do it in a couple of different ways. Eggs, chicken. The reason you would set up an array to work this way is so that you can do what we're doing here, where we don't have to modify an array every time. We just say, hey, title, the value in that array for title is going to be equal to something else now. So you can just change individual things. And that's pretty cool, actually. And you will, once you learn this method, you will definitely find a lot of places where this will help you. That will be a thing. So if I was going to show you what the output is, I know you kind of get the idea now, I'm sure. But let me show you what the output is. So we're going to print this out, and I'm going to print out the variable sprint, apparently. Print. I hit Control S, and we were to look at this. So let's go to... So this is the raw output information that we have. Array, milk is cow, eggs will be chicken. Now that's what happens with an array when you set an array up. This is the information it outputs. And we're just printing that information onto the screen. Now we could do something really cool with this. Not really cool, but we could do something with it like check to see, because we're doing this in our widget, so I want to show you an example of this. Check to see if something is set, and then if it is, do something. So we could check to see if like this has a set value, like if we set something for that yet, and if we have, then output that information, right? And then we'll echo out a horizontal, and then we'll do a... Let's do a print of milk. So what we're going to do now is check to see if milk has something set. If it does, we're going to echo out a horizontal rule. So it's going to be a line across the screen. And below that, we're going to have the value for milk. So that's kind of a cool thing we could do. Now see if that works or if I'm just crazy. So Control S, refresh. Now we have the horizontal rule and cow. So it is set so that is true. This is a true statement now. So it's saying, yeah, that's set. And then we're going to say, what's the value for milk? And the value for milk is cow. So that's just a very, very basic overview of that stuff in PHP, how it works and what you can do with it, and how it can apply to some things that you may be interested in doing. But the truth is, all we need it for right now is this stuff. Let's get back to the actual video. So that's going to check to see if something's set for that instance, that field. And if it has, it will run the statement that is inside of this. And what we'll do inside of here is we'll set the title. So title equals the new instance. Okay. So what we're doing is we're making sure that something has been set. If something's not been set for that field, we don't want to waste any memory, any time running through this and setting it to blank, because that would be a waste of everything. So all we're doing is after we check that, we're taking that variable and setting it to equal what it found. If it was set to window, then the title would equal window. So now what we have to do though is make sure, because the instance title is not going to be updated automatically just because the form was submitted. We have to use the update function to do that. And what we're going to be doing inside of this is setting the instance to equal the new instance of title. So now I'm going to explain this a bit. The new instance is the new thing that the user typed, the new thing the user submitted. The old instance is what it was before. And that is not how you do that. There, instance. And the instance here, I'm going to refer it to as the current instance because it will be the current instance since we are setting it to be whatever was updated with last. So now this will equal whatever that was, as long as we return the new there. Now as long as we return it out like that, then this will equal that, and then this will equal that, which means this will equal whatever the user sets. I'm talking a lot, so let's see if I am correct here. If I was to say barbecue vinegar, that sounds good. Click save. It updated that, kept that there, added that there. So it is working. If I was to refresh, go back here, it's still vinegar. I could change this to Calasnofia. And I was to click save, and it would still be Calasnofia, of course. So now let's get rid of that slowly. And I save that, it's blank, it stays blank. And that is pretty much the very basics of how you're going to be inputting information, saving information, and retrieving information. But we want to use that information to produce things based on different things. So if we want to say, if this is equal to this, do that, we can do that with new information. And that's going to be kind of the goal of this series, to get you to understand how to check for things and then use that information to do different things based on the information you got back. And that's really how programming is. It's just all about doing that for a lot of different things. That'll do it for this part. Be sure to subscribe if you are interested in seeing more of this. If you are not, go away or something. But if you are, be sure to subscribe, like the video. That does help a lot if you like the video. I know people like to view it and then don't leave any kind of feedback, and that's okay, but it's hard for me to gauge whether or not the person liked it if I don't have any way of gauging it. So make sure you let me know what you think about the videos when you view them. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. I'm not as active as I should be, but sometimes I post things, and things may be of interest to you. My name is Austin, and I'll see you next time.